Welcome, everybody, to Tech Field Day here live at Commvault GO in beautiful Nashville. I'm Stephen Foskett, your host for Tech Field Day. We've got a room full of people. I don't know if you guys can pan one of the cameras around and just make everybody embarrassed. One of the great things about it's like a highlight of my year, honestly, since we did this last year. Jason, thank you. To have a huge, it's like stadium. It's like, you know, like one of those Food Network shows where they're like cooking and stuff and the people are cheering. So we are thrilled to be here in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. I have to say, so I just got here this morning, so maybe they're awful later, but honestly, so far the people of Nashville have been just marvelous.
Oh yeah.
Every single person has been so wonderful and helpful and friendly and stuff. I want to move here. Man, Cleveland, I don't know. But it's been great, and the Gaylord here in Nashville is, you just can't comprehend how big it is until you walk through it. I've already walked 5 miles, no kidding, not a joke. We are going to be streaming live here with folks from Commvault as well as some surprise guests for the next 3 hours. If you're not familiar with what this is, the folks around the inner circle here, we're calling them delegates, Tech Field Day delegates. And what that means is that they've been flown in from around the world. All of them are independent technical influencers of one sort or another. That means that they don't work for any of the vendors in the space, but more importantly, that they've got an open mind about technology. All of them are deeply technical and invited to ask questions during the presentation. Go ahead, interrupt the presenters. Don't do it maybe a million times, but ask your questions during the presentation. And all of them have some sort of platform. So I see around the table, we've got some bloggers, we've got some podcasters, we've got some great video folks. So all of them were invited in for this reason, and we're here streaming live. We're streaming the presentation live and posted to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/techfieldday, there to be shared with the world.
Well, good afternoon, everyone here in the room in Nashville, and also to those of you that are joining on the web. Welcome to Commvault GO 2018. Here in Nashville, I'm Bill Wohl, and I really lucky to lead this great team of communications professionals that have helped put this event together. We're excited to have the Tech Field Day team back at Commvault GO again this year, and to once again to have that team be joined by a group of press and analysts, press from all over the world. All 4 corners of the world, industry analysts representing all of the core firms that cover our industry. There's about 65 influencers here at Commvault GO this year. That's a record for us, and I think it's an outstanding indication, not of Commvault, but of the importance of the data management industry today. It's my job in the next 10 or 15 minutes to give you a quick overview of the show and give you some highlights of the news that we're releasing. Now, Stephen will like the fact that Tech Field Day is driving our agenda at GO, and what do I mean by that? Because we're holding this event, because we're sharing our news with the Tech Field Day group first. We're actually going to issue our news of the show a full day early. And so with a lot of the journalists we've talked to outside the show that couldn't make the trip to Nashville, we've held the embargo on the news so we can brief you. And then we will lift the news embargo in about an hour and issue our press releases. So you're getting it first, which is the way it should be. So we thank you for making the trip to Nashville. Stephen talked about how great the people have been here in Nashville, and particularly at the Gaylord, and I think that's the right place for us to start. This is a customer conference, our customer conference. The Gaylord hotel chain is a Commvault customer. They have entrusted Commvault to take care of their data, to back them up. We're thrilled to be giving our business to the Gaylord hotel chain, not only for the last 2 GO events and this one, but for the next 5 years to come. We're excited about that, to have a customer involved. Tomorrow you'll meet another Commvault GO or Commvault customer based in Nashville. That's Tractor Supply. You've all know that business. They're headquartered here in town. So we're trying to make sure that the customers of Commvault are front and center at Commvault GO. That's what a customer conference is all about, and we're even more thrilled to have two great brands based in Nashville to highlight the show. So let's jump into this. So I want to start first telling you something about the Gaylord Nashville, which drives me crazy. This is a big, complicated venue to get around. I've been here 5 times. I finally feel like I can navigate from the front of the building to this room, but I think all of you will struggle to get around. And to be honest, these maps are not going to help you get there anyway. So let me just orient you specifically.
Oh my God, honesty.
And, it's honesty. It's honesty. Let me just give you the basic tour based on this room that you are in. Right across the hall is the Delta Ballroom. That's the Keynote Theater. It's literally up 6 steps. And underneath this room is what we call the Go Village. So up the steps to the morning keynotes, down the escalator to the show floor, we call that the Go Village. If you just can find your way to and from this room, you can navigate this entire show. Now, if you ask me how to get from the Cascade lobby to the Delta lobby, that'll take me another 10 minutes to explain. But you're very close to the center of action right here. Now, this is a very simple conference. We start with, the show is starting with Tech Field Day. So this is the official beginning of the event for us. This evening, there's a welcome reception for the 2,000 attendees that are here from all over the world. We have 2 action-packed days. It starts with a 2-hour keynote block on Wednesday morning and on Thursday morning. And then as soon as the keynotes are over, we all go downstairs to what we call the Go Village, the show floor. Everything takes place in that space. So there's 150 breakout sessions. There are hundreds of hands-on labs. There are thousands of one-on-one interactions that many of you will be a part of. All of that takes place in the space underneath us, which is this lower level drawing. It is the basement, so to speak. We're sort of on the middle level, and the Keynote Theater is on the upper level. Much more detail here on this slide, but we don't have the time to go through all of it, but I just wanted to give you the overview. Now, what are the key events? So we want to talk a little bit about some highlight activities. This, of course, is the most important highlight activity. It's Tech Field Day. It's how we kick off our event. Tonight we have the reception. Tomorrow we have a keynote lineup that is pretty interesting. If I sound pumped up, it's not just because I've been working 18-hour days for the last week and a half to get ready. I just left the keynote rehearsal. You do not want to miss Steve Connell, who is starting our show tomorrow. Steve is what we would call a spoken poet. He's an inspirational speaker. He has an 11-minute presentation that will literally blow you away. And what it really is all about is helping the audience of attendees understand the role they play in protecting, managing, and using data, and the role that that plays both in business and in the world. I've just left the rehearsal. Trust me, you do not want to be late tomorrow morning. The main keynote tomorrow, of course, is the Commvault Keynote. Those of you that have been to Commvault GO before know that typically we have Bob Hammer, our CEO, on day 1, Al Bunty, our COO, on day 2. This year, they're going to go together. They're going to tag team. So it's the Bob and Al show tomorrow for an hour. And it is an action-packed hour to talk about what's new, what's our perception of the world, what's our vision, and a challenge that we're going to issue to the rest of the industry to really lift up enterprise software for data protection. And really turn software not into tools you use, but tools that work for the user. You're going to hear a lot of discussion over the next 2 days about the role of machine learning and AI, because we believe passionately at Commvault it's time for the software to do the heavy lifting of all the background work and only serve up to the user what's important for them to know, understand, and act upon. And a second theme that's going to come out of all of that is this concept of helping CIOs meet their most vexing problem, which is understanding what data they have. They have workloads under management from multiple vendors. They have workloads sitting on mobile devices to the cloud and on premises. They have workloads that the business units have created that they don't even know they have. So how do they become digital businesses? How do they become true masters of IT if, according to our surveys, they have access or management of less than 50% of the data they have? So we have some solutions that will address that. And then we have this really fun presentation to end tomorrow morning's keynote. It's Bill Nye, the Science Guy, needs no introduction. Bill has spent his career talking about the role of science in history, science in our lives, and Bill will talk about the role that data plays in science. It's a natural connection to Commvault GO, and we're excited to have his powerful voice on our stage. Tomorrow afternoon, we've got a great Women in Technology reception, and then we're going to gather all of you, the press analysts, influencers, bloggers, tech field day correspondents, and participants, all for a great reception and dinner out in one of those huge atriums. The challenge is for you to find where that is. And I'm not going to describe it to you because it's way too complicated. And then on Thursday morning, we've got a whole series of keynotes for you, including this very cool, interactive, rapid-fire lightning round of speakers, 8 speakers, 7 minutes apiece, topics from AI to smart cloud to how to measure value to scale out data protection. I think you're going to find this to be a fascinating session. I'm not going to take the time to go through all the speakers. Here's the message. Most of the speakers at Commvault GO are not Commvault people. They're industry analysts, they're experts, but most importantly, 60% of the presentations at this show are customers talking about how they manage data in their environments. Good. So, what's the news of the day? I want to just spend a couple of minutes and tell you we're going to issue 8 press releases, give or take, during this afternoon. My colleague Don Foster is going to follow up and really dig into some of these announcements. They really sort of fall into 2 general categories. First, as you know, if you've been following Commvault, we've talked about turning our business strategy into one that's very focused on delivering value through our partners. So there are continuing announcements from Commvault about our relationship with some of the most important ecosystem players in the marketplace. You'll see an announcement about NetApp and NetApp resellers selling Commvault. Now that's important because that extends the reach of Commvault solutions to broad audiences, and it's another affirmation that some of the biggest IT brands in the world are choosing to partner up with Commvault for data protection. You've also heard us talk often about how we are tightly integrated to more clouds, more storage arrays, more virtual environments than anyone else in this space, and we continue that tradition, announcing a tight integration with HP StoreOnce technology. Now, we're going to do product innovation. That's always been a Commvault hallmark. We know that customers are increasingly interested in licensing and purchasing data protection software as a service. They're doing that because they want the flexibility of cloud delivery models. They're doing that because they want to switch from CapEx to OpEx. We will offer now the Commvault Complete Backup and Recovery portfolio as a service, one of our most important announcements at this show. You've also seen a lot of attention about the appliance delivery model. Customers like that because it's one throat to choke. Hardware, software, tightly integrated. One company takes care of business. We've doubled down on our hyperscale deployments that scale out with data protection with an even larger appliance designed to serve the needs of managed service providers and large enterprises. And we've done completely the opposite and created a very small appliance with our backup and recovery solutions specifically for small businesses, but most importantly for enterprises that have those 20 or 30 remote offices that need to be all connected together. So the appliance family continues to grow. Don will spend a few seconds talking about the Commvault Command Center. Remember I mentioned earlier AI and machine learning. We have built into our solution now the ability for our software across our portfolio to proactively push alerting, reporting, the information users need to act, and get that forward. So we're taking what is already a modern user interface, HTML5, and we're now combining that with a whole bunch of powerful technologies and creating a new way for customers to interact across our software portfolio. It's called the Commvault Command Center. Don will talk a little bit about that. And then lastly, I want to highlight one of the more important announcements that Bob and Al will talk about in their keynote tomorrow. It's around a product we called Commvault Activate. I mentioned earlier that CIOs are really struggling to understand where their data is. They need to understand, they need to know their data, because they can't act on it. They can't make value come from the data. They can't make better decisions if they don't know what data they have. So in that announcement, you'll find a lot of details about our ability to deploy Commvault Activate, independent of backup and recovery, to go out and look at customers' environments from cloud to on-premises and everywhere in between, and for the first time present to customers the ability to really understand what they have. Who has access to it? Where is it stored? Is there too much of it? Is there a problem with duplication of resources? And then they can act on it, whether that's to optimize their storage environment or to make better decisions or get more value out of it, and even make the decision about whether to put it in hot storage or cold storage. So that's another important announcement. So we have a combination of new product innovation announcements, some more of the opportunity to demonstrate our ability to be partner-led and deliver through a great ecosystem of partners, all of that showcased in announcements that we will issue on the wire today We'll make sure everybody in this room has copies of those announcements, and we'll use the opportunity to tell you more about that in the next few minutes. There's a big party Thursday night. If you know country music, you know Jason Aldean and Luke Bryan. They both have brand new clubs on Broadway here in Nashville. Their clubs are interconnected. We've bought the clubs out completely. It's going to be a Commvault party tomorrow night. Thursday night to end the show down in Nashville. And lastly, I don't want to end this presentation without thanking our sponsors. This is important because we cannot hold an event for 2,000 people without having a great ecosystem of partners. We have key diamond sponsors in Cisco, Microsoft, and HPE, and a cloud sponsor with AWS. These are companies that you're all familiar with, but there's a whole host of companies that sell, install, configure, and deliver software that have made their commitment to and their partnership to Commvault known by being sponsors of this event. You will find their representatives downstairs in the Commvault Village on the show floor. Take an opportunity as press, analysts, and tech field day delegates to meet these people. And when you see them at this show, thank them for their sponsorship because they make it possible for us to put this event together. And with that, my presentation has ended. I'd like to say on behalf of Bob and Al and the leadership team of Commvault, how grateful we are for you to take a few days to join with us in Nashville, to get to know us better, to ask tough questions, to really challenge us, to help you understand where we fit, more importantly, where we fit with our customers and how they protect and store their data. Now, one of the things that you learn as a chief communications officer is when to stop talking and give way to someone who really understands the product. Because if I tried to answer your questions, I would not make Commvault look pretty good. So the gentleman who's following me, Don Foster, is the head of what we call solution marketing. But what you should know about Don is he's been working in this business quite a long time. He started down in the solution engineering space. He understands how to configure software. He spends almost all of his time talking to customers about the challenges they faced in their environments and how they leverage data protection software to know, manage, use, recover, back up their data. He gets how customers have to deploy technology, and he's the ideal candidate to spend the next hour with you really digging into these topics. So again, on behalf of everyone at Commvault, thank you Tech Field Day for being with us. Thank you press and analysts for joining, and I wish you a very great show. Don, it's all yours.
Thank you, Bill.